Hey, what's up, everybody? Last week, this weekend, last like 9 days. I have been really putting out a lot of stuff on. By the way, StreamYard is doing the glitch thing with me. StreamYard, pull it together, man. Off timing and everything. Hopefully it'll sync up. We'll see. What a joke. Um, but we spent a lot of time with the illegal accounts. I have we've missed a lot. And I was getting the podcast ready for tomorrow night, and I realized that um I'm so far behind, and I said we would talk about my two ideas on go through at least the basics of my two ideas on upfront pricing and a better system that I've been working on, but there's also a lot that we need to catch up with. So I thought I would do a live tonight at this time, and then I always do the live on Monday at this time. So probably two lives to get the one podcast out, but it'll be cut into two podcasts. So the audio podcast listeners, when you see this drop a day early, there will be a follow-up being done tomorrow, unless by some odd chance we got through it, but I don't think so. I've only got half, not even half of it put here tonight. So by the end of this month, before we end this month, I will put out a video that completely breaks down everything that I'm learning, because I still every day could be putting out videos on the time I'm spending, like while I'm out working and waiting in between things, the time that I'm spending researching, looking up these companies that are reselling the accounts, seeing where they're from, doing my due diligence. But I could be putting out a bunch. But what I'm going to just tell you guys is that around the end of the month, I'm going to put out one summary one, because I don't want to bombard my algorithm too much with that. But at the same time, it's a huge problem, and we will be addressing it. I'll be back on the other side of this. We got a lot to talk about tonight.
Well, midnight headlight, blinding on a rainy night, steep grade up ahead, slowing down and making no time. I gotta keep it rolling. Those are windshield wipers slapping out the tempo, breaking from the rhythm with the song on the radio. I gotta keep it rolling. I'm driving my life away.
I just had to just let me make sure, guys, that I got my phone onto this. Sucks. I sometimes I do have this, but I'm not sure, but I think we're running to TikTok as well. Or TikTok. I think we're running to Twitter X as well tonight. We'll see. Not a lot of people on X on the weekend, so I'm just kind of testing it back out and seeing if it affects the StreamYard bandwidth thing, because there's been a whole issue with that. But okay. What's up, Sean? Hey, Trixie. I know that name. California? What's up, Edward? Hey, man, how are you doing? Are you recovering? You were emailing me, and then I haven't heard from you in a minute. I hope you're doing much better, man. By the way, guys, Edward, well, I'll let him put it in there if he wants to, but if you are watching on X, you wouldn't see this. So, but he had a pretty big deal happen to him while he was doing either DoorDash or Uber Eats. I know it was food delivery. Bubba Sue, how are you? Traveler, how you doing? Toyo, I appreciate that. Hey, Jaded, what's up, man? So I'm having to read these, like I told you, it looks like StreamYard is a little caught up now. But like if you saw the last live I did, the StreamYard was like 5 minutes, 10 minutes lagging to what I could see on my YouTube account. So I'll just keep it open just in case. But we do have, let me see before we get into so my question that ponders me, how do people that Spark get past photo verification? So What do you mean get past it? Are you talking about with the illegal accounts? Again, I will get into that full thing. I actually, some of them are cheaper than others, but the expensive ones have a system that that's why I'm blown away, because they actually take an active account and that's legit, and they, in a 2-hour period, that's what I was saying on that short, they literally transition this account into your account. You now get to take a picture of you. So you'll just be matching your picture on somebody else's account. It is crazy the depth some of these go. Now I have found a couple that are, I noticed that they were like a fifth or even a tenth as much money for the accounts. And so I had to just wonder, like, well, there must be an issue with these. And just like I was seeing good comments, I was seeing bad on those. It's crazy. Again, let me break down the piece, because the piece is going to be strong. And I'm going to tell you guys everything I learned. And I'm going to do what I did before and put up things, but I'll black them out. And part of that, if you guys don't know, Luis had threats on him and stuff over that stuff, but he did because I had people asking me, and he did a much deeper dive in Houston what was going on with illegal accounts. And because he's Venezuelan, he actually got a friend to help him go down and see how the operation works, where you get illegal accounts. So in a nutshell, I won't get into it more than that. There is content on Luis's channel if you ever want to see this. And he has sent me loads of data that he tried to get me to get out to the press, but I did. I tried to get it out. The problem is the press wasn't even ready for that. He has video, everything of everything going on. Cartel stuff, basically. Hey, what's up, Tort? And DoorDash is falling, not a great business model. Well, I would just, I agree, but most gig apps aren't a great business model yet. But we might be getting out of the app space here anyway, not too long, and not by our own free will. Even the apps are getting out of the app space into the perplexity thing I was telling you guys about. But okay, so this is going to kind of be 2 weeks in a row, or 2 days in a row to catch us back up. So let's start off with a very nice story. This is crazy, you guys. I don't know if you guys saw this. This is nuts. And by the way, I see that there's at least 5 people on X watching. Can somebody comment on X? I want to see if it comes through the chat here on StreamYard, please, if you could. And StreamYard, if it's you watching because of all the comments I made to you, you damn well better comment, because you better save your butt here. Oh, okay. Thank you, my friend. There we go. We got one. It wasn't the fish I was going for there, but thank you for proving that true. I appreciate you. Okay, so no, I don't want that. So did you guys see this? This is from today. DoorDash driver surprised after 100,000 deliveries. Whoa, what? So listen to this. A DoorDash driver received the ultimate prize for his grind as he earned himself a new car. And this is a part of it that I find a little bit funny. They gave him a Cadillac Escalade, like the worst gas mileage ever. I mean, the car's dope, but they gave him a Cadillac Escalade at the time when they're like, we need dots, we need energy efficiency. They're like giving him an 8 mile to the gallon car. But 100,000. So they gifted him the car after he reached 100,000 on just the DoorDash platform, respecting his grind. And it doesn't say what it is, but it says that they offered him something much larger if he can hit 200,000 by 2028. He knows what it is. They didn't put it in the article, and he already responded with, no, I'm not going to be able to do that. I don't know, guys. That's my nice story for the day. That's it. I mean, we'll talk about good things between us, but Um, I can't seem to get this thing shut, but if you guys can see real quick, I'll just kind of pull it up from my notes. That's the doo-doo one, and there's his car. So, oh my gosh. And then the other thing I wanted to read you guys was something I'm putting together right now. Because Sue had mentioned to me that she had heard about Empower coming to New York. So I had to do a little digging and put something together because when she said that, I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, Empower. And then she asked me, she was like, where was Empower or what was it? And I was like, it was in DC. And I was like, okay, so let's see. So the company called Empower. You guys need to know about this. It's very weird. It's not quite like the Trip scam. If you guys remember Trip, but this is crazy. So the company called Empower markets itself as a pro worker platform where drivers pay a $50 monthly fee to use the app. The driver can take home 100% of their fare, which they set themselves. The system leads to cheaper rides for passengers and higher wages for drivers, the company claims. But Empower is facilitating those rides over the objection of the city Taxi and Limousine Commission, which set up a dedicated website warning New Yorkers not to use the app. In order for an app-based ride to be legal in the 5 boroughs of New York, the platform must register for a base with the TLC, that's the Taxi and Limousine Commission, a facility where cars are dispatched to passengers and operated by the company. Empower does not have one. The company is supposed to pay a $1,500 application fee to secure the base and insure each of its vehicles. Sear said thousands of drivers provide tens of thousands of rides in the city through Empower each week. That's a drop in the bucket compared to the 88,000 drivers providing more than 4 million rides a week for Uber and Lyft. That's just in the 5 boroughs. In the 5 boroughs, there's 4 million Uber rides a week. And Lyft, sorry, for whatever Lyft is. But Sear says the app giants have taken notice. I've spoken with the board members of Uber. This is a quote by Sear, and he's the one who is this, I guess, the CEO, founder, all that, whatever, of Empower. And then continuing that quote, this is an existential threat to their business, and they are going to do everything in their power, bribe every official they can, influence anyone, pull every lever they can to stop drivers from working for themselves. Uber did not respond to a request for a comment on Sear's claim. I always dog Uber for this, but on this one, guys, like, I'm kind of right there. I'm right there with it. Like, this guy's operating illegally. They kicked him out of DC, and anybody that knows the story, when they were in DC and they were kicked out, excuse me, my eyes are burning. When they were in DC and they were kicked out, they didn't leave. They kept operating. So, I mean, like, literally, it's like you didn't do the applications, you didn't pay the fees, you didn't even list with our registry, you're not an official business. Like, it's sketchy. Like, to me, even, like, I get it. You're trying to get, I can applaud that effort because in some markets it might be doable down the road. But Empower, come on, like, you're going to the biggest markets in the country first. And I think honestly, I don't know, maybe this guy, I'll have to look deeper into this, but maybe this guy Sear, maybe he's a multi-billionaire, millionaire, and maybe he's literally just doing this as a disruption and a proof of what corruption is going on. But I don't think it is. I think he's folded himself into I think that he's become as much of the problem, even though it's a smaller drop in the bucket. He is as much of the problem. So, and you guys know, I mean, like, yes, we talk about some legislation here and stuff. I'm opposed to much of it. So I'm trying to help steer things right when it's going to happen anyway. That's what I'm doing. So there's that. Now, let's talk about this because I don't even know how many of you recognize this. We did mention it a couple times when they had some bad periods, but did you guys know that over the last 30 days, the value of DoorDash has dropped 25%? Did everybody know that? I mean, remember, DoorDash isn't a stock worth $10 or Bitcoin or like one of the one of the stable coins or something that's like, a dollar gets you like a million of them. Or it's not like, yeah, it's $10 a share. It's not like DoorDash is a pricey stock, and it lost a quarter of its value. Um, if you remember right, and this is for their Q4 earnings, where they said the Q4 earnings were like they were like, you'll see a little dip, but it's not going to be bad. And then, but if you remember, Tony Hsiu came out and said, but next year, and it was weird because he was like warning people. He's like, next year, realize that our profits will be down even more because of technology and other things we're getting into. So he was almost saying, like, we're going to do worse than this. Well, this was horrible. This is horrible. Past 30-day performance, negative 25%. The 52-week range on this stock is 155 to 286. So the valuation model target price for DoorDash right now is $329 a share. Let's see. What day was it? Was it Friday? Because I'm seeing the number, but I don't see. It says so stock shares fell 25.01% over the past 30 days, closing at 161.14. Now again, this came on the heels of the Seattle regulatory stuff that's going on, and we're going to get to that. It's DoorDash has been one that is it doesn't take hits like this. Uber does, and then they tell you do this and do that and do this and do that. Well, Uber is, I mean, like, yes, you get Uber shares for less, but Uber's traded on a higher volume too. I mean, Uber is a global, even though you can argue that DoorDash is too, because it's owned by Deliver That or Just Eat over in Europe, and now they own Deliveroo too, which they acquired, which is a losing operation over in Europe. And they're in Australia, and they'll have the Deliveroo countries as well, so a lot of Europe. But they're still not as global as Uber and Uber Eats and some of the other things that Uber does. But nonetheless, like, that is huge, guys. And in this article, you guys can just just go look up just go look up DoorDash share price, and the articles you'll find. I mean, find a publication that you like to read or something, and just read any of them. I mean, they're all, I read a few. They're all very insightful, and they're like, even the ones that I read that tried to put a good spin on it couldn't. There wasn't a good spin. They were trying to say how, like, a lot of it was if the dots can take over deliveries for half of the drivers, at least, weird stuff like, okay, well, at the round table, Tony Hsiu we already knew this. We talk about it here all the time, but he showed the people that came to the round table the dots, and those dots are $110,000 each. They don't work in the rain. They don't work very well at night. They don't work in extreme cold. They don't work in snow. They don't work in, I mean, like, again, why are we spending $110,000 on things that just don't work? I'm all for technology, man. Keep working on it, guys. You'll get around to something, and then start working on getting the cost down. But why do you have somebody producing a non-working product? Like, for real, like, they're always in the shop. And we're not just doing 10 or 100 of them. Like, why are you producing hundreds or thousands of these? To me, it's just stupid. I know what it is. I know they want to go for they want to go for, this is for the long game. This is that we'll develop. It's the same as kind of Uber and Waymo, which we'll get to. It's just, you can partner up with the company that's got the clout right now. But at the same time, usually the first companies with the clout are the ones to fall. My biggest problem with all of this is that I don't want to, basically, you all understand the customers, the drivers, us, even the restaurants. We've talked about this. We all probably aren't paying all of it, but just like they always are finding clever ways to reduce pay, we are definitely subsidizing some of this AI BS that they're doing. And none of them, even Uber, Uber's back and forth, they're bipolar about it. Like, we're a tech company. No, we're a dispatch company. No, we're a tech company. We're just, they play the wave. Whatever they're supposed to be in that moment, they are. But they're not, I can just say, look, hello, they are a dispatch company, only there's no technology there. And even their dispatching is, I understand it's a major scale, but it's pretty pathetic. It is pretty pathetic. Okay. So, yeah, we had that. So Uber or DoorDash not doing good. And there's a lot, again, I'll leave it up to you guys because I don't want to read this article or any of the other two I read because they were a little bit different in their spins, but I want you guys to go out and find it for yourself. Just put DoorDash stock price and then click over to Google News or something and see what articles come up on the first page. And you'll be surprised. Pick whatever publication you want to read it. And I think you'll be surprised. You'll read things in there because you're Dashers. You'll go, that's not real. This isn't happening. And it's their hope of this year. So even their hope is just, it's yeah, it's hopium. It's opium. And then I know that I know Sean's in here too. And thank you everybody for joining. Uber stock is down 6.4%. And this is primarily on the miss. I read a bunch on this stuff. Sean, feel free to jump in if you have something to add. But Uber stock dropped 6.4%. This came out on yesterday. But there's articles that have been coming out this week. So Uber shares, here's my bullet points here. Uber shares dropped another 6.4% last week. Wall Street continues adjust price targets down after the company's latest earnings release. DoorDash earnings call is on Wednesday, by the way, you guys. And if you don't know this, you can go to DoorDash's website and I don't have the link right in front of me, but you can go to DoorDash's website and you can watch the earnings call live. Do you know that? Does everybody know that? It's free. You can watch it. It's not DoorDash.com and it's on the homepage. In fact, I think it's not a .com, but it's DoorDash.something. And you can go there and watch the earnings call. So, but you can find it on the DoorDash website too. I would suggest that you guys do this once. The earnings calls last an hour, 90 minutes. And you hear, basically, this is what they're telling the investors. So you're hearing their presentation of what they think the company has done in the last 3 months and where it will go forward from here. So there are things that I think all of you would be interested in. I don't think many of you watch it. If you do, sweet, but I think you should. So the shares are dropping, and we did the scale. You guys remember the scale, probably many of you. And if it went down in green, it meant that was areas they thought they were doing good or that was going to earn them more revenue. If it went up in red, it was like things that were going to cost them this year. And there were like 7 things across the line. All of them were pretty narrow right along that line, except for one right in the middle that was red and went up almost out of the screen. And that was legal fees. People say drop in the bucket. This year, drop in the bucket doesn't exist anymore when we're talking about fines that the companies get or anything. Like if you guys see 1 million, 2 million, I mean, Uber Eats had to pay, what was it, 40 million to just Seattle for a 2-year period. If you guys think that's a drop in the bucket to companies that barely can cross a profit line, and once you do that, you need to keep showing the investors that you can do that. It's not like you can go, oh, we made profit once. We're going to all go to Jamaica for a year. That's not how it works. Once you do show that profit they've been wanting, they want to see that keep going. Well, there's nowhere left to go. I mean, like, what are you going to do? You got to start like tossing some things out. But that legal fee that was high was also a worry to a lot of Uber investors because it's based on all the things. They're always being sued. But a big part of it was the sexual assault cases. Now, there's a lot of driver assault cases, assaults from passengers on drivers, and there's a lot on drivers on passengers. It goes both ways. But this is just the sexual allegations, just the SA cases. We know there are 3,000 in the court dockets. They haven't moved forward too much because of the way the structure works with Uber. You got to arbitrate, you got to do this. The way that you have to do it, it was never in a position where your average Uber passenger or whatever was going to be able to find representation unless they were very rich. And even then, I think you guys know this, a lot of people are afraid to come forward in in these situations. And so now the first case was decided. It was put into the court. They always put an allotment. That doesn't mean it can't go over, and it doesn't mean it can't go under. But they always try and fill the court's calendar to what they think a case will be. Now, this was a bellwether case. This was the first sexual assault case where Uber was being brought into the mix, not the driver, saying that Uber, they don't do this is for rideshare, this part here, and then we'll get back to other stuff too. But just for the rideshare, I've talked to rideshare drivers everywhere. I don't know any that are telling me I would have a problem being fingerprinted. Dude, if you're driving people, you need to be fingerprinted. I'm sorry. Like, part of the problem is that I've done, when I was doing work with Paraworks, we were onboarding a lot of people to Paraworks, and I was the one that had to deal with Checker. I couldn't believe the morons I dealt with over at Checker. And Checker, if you're listening, cool. I hope that somebody over there does want to reach out ever. Now that with Para is done, I am totally in a position to have you on, because before I couldn't have done this. But you are more than welcome to come on this podcast anytime you want. I will give you more than a fair shot. I will let the platform be yours. But we need to know some truths, because I already know what I know. And unless anything's changed, Checker is not a place that should be doing this. But the first case that was allotted 5 weeks, again, it could go over, it could go less. The judge decided, I thought it was 3 days. The judge decided in 48 hours and awarded the sexual assault, the person who was assaulted, $8.5 million from Uber. That's one person. Now, I know it won't be the same on every case, but let's just do something real simple here. I'm going to blow your mind. Because other states are now, like, those sexual assault cases, the other 2,900, 999, and there's even more that haven't even got into that docket. But of the 3,000, one's down. So if let's just call it 8. That's what we'll do. We'll say, what if she had got 8? And what if every other one got 8? That's $24 billion. And DoorDash is out of business, or Uber's out of business. I mean, did anybody even think of this? Because I'm not kidding. Like, that they can't make a call on that. Plus the bad PR, plus this, that, the other. And I know, like, we all think too big to fail, right? Like, the bank's getting a bailout. Nobody's going to be bailing out Uber. Maybe years ago that could have been a thing. But now, like I've been saying, that's why legislation is coming down. Like, Uber can't walk into, and their lobbyists can't walk into states anymore and go, we'll give you free rides to voting. We'll give seniors free rides to medical visits. We'll do this. We'll do that. We'll donate to your cause. We'll donate to your campaign. None of it's flying anymore because the opposing side has gotten too big and it's too many of the constituents. So to make that deal, you would be shooting yourself in the foot because it's not just drivers upset anymore. It's the customers know they're being ripped off, and the business partners know they're being ripped off. These are the people who do the books. That's why we have Big Red F coming on. 20, what would he say? 29%. He loses on every order that goes out the door to DoorDash for food. And that's all of the Boulder top-notch restaurants. And I'm glad that Sean is in here because I saw he put out a little short on this, or maybe he even did a longer piece. Maybe it was from the podcast, and I know that I missed the beginning of the podcast this week, but John Hickenlooper, you guys, Sean and I were texting and like we were making some jokes as we do. Hickenlooper came up and Sean said to me, well, yeah, Hickenlooper, somehow it was like Hickenlooper used to bartend at his bar. And it's too funny because Sean knows what I did for many years, but I don't think he knows where I was because he's in Colorado Springs. I'm in Denver, by the way. But I owned and operated the Giggling Grizzly for part of my 25-year career in the bar and restaurant and service industry. So I was the general manager. I was the owner. I was bartending all the time. And he said that he bartended John Hickenlooper down at Wine Coop. And I was thinking, man, I used to see John at all of the District 2 police meetings that we would have every 3 months at the Wine Coop Brewing, which was his place in Lodo. And it was always dead. I never saw him bartending. I thought he was just a screwball. And this isn't an attack on parties politically, but this idiot, and I'm going to say that because he is part of the Senate's Transportation Committee, right? So that's a big deal. Now, he put 100,000, well, actually, I don't even know. It could have been more. He put 6 figures is all we know. So at least 100,000. He put 6 figures into Uber stock. You guys see a conflict of interest there a little bit? This is what he said. Well, he basically was saying I have an investment group who does my investments. I didn't know they did that. First of all, I understand how these investment groups work. I know a couple of people who work for some out here and anywhere. They don't do things like that, no matter the size. Like they're going to talk to you about, hey, we're moving 200, 300,000 into Uber. They're going to tell you about that, or at least send you documents that change has been made, even if you're just letting them run it. But I guarantee you, everybody in that mix knew. Because the Hickenloopers, you guys can go dig up your own dirt on them because I don't want to sit here and just slam them. But John, it's old family money, in my opinion. He got in there because he got in there, and all his political career has not been based on merit. And his bar was a failure. And no, he did not bartend. And I don't know what Sean was saying. I would have loved to have known Sean then. I would have gone down there and ordered all kinds of crazy drinks that I know he couldn't make. But the fact that his investment company made this investment also is shady to me. Like, really? So you're saying that your investment company made this investment? You're going to tell me that John Hickenlooper's legal team doesn't go to things or isn't involved with things like where he's investing his money, saying, hey, don't invest it in Uber or Lyft because that would really conflict what he's doing in office and what he's doing in the Senate. Of course they do. I think, Hickenlooper sees something that is he playing a short? No, because I don't think he's hedging, but I think he's playing a long game about what we've been talking about a little bit here and there, which is how much longer does Lyft last? It depends on who you ask. I'm of the opinion that every once in a while somebody has a good Lyft story, but in the end, I don't know. How much longer does Lyft last? And maybe Lyft gets acquired by another gig app and is it able to maintain, but I don't think the name Lyft is going to be around too much longer. I mean, the rest of this year, of course, I don't know when, but they have been struggling forever. Ever since they broke the trend of doing what worked for Lyft. Because when I first started with Lyft and Uber, Lyft was great. Lyft was competitive. It was different. Who wants a mustache ride? Like all that stuff was cool. When they started following everything Uber did, that's when it went downhill for them. But John Hickenlooper, anytime you want, brother, I will take you on bartending. Anytime you want, brother. Or actually not, you ain't my brother. But so as we know, there are now professional door closers. If you guys haven't seen, I'm sure you have seen, but if you haven't seen, there is DoorDash is now sourcing out closing Waymo doors. And I had Torsten on, and Torsten said, so make sure to leave all the doors open. I totally agree with him, man. So make sure to leave all the doors open. But this whole thing is such a joke. I mean, again, this is autonomous, and it was mentioned how it's not a Zoox. Well, the Zoox are kind of like, as I've seen them, they're strange. They look more like a standing room only bus, and they're not really many places. But that's how I think of them. They look like, and they're in Vegas, so that's exactly what I would think. They look like something that would be in Vegas, just like the doors open, everybody gets on, and you get off, and it just follows the track all night, whatever. But the Zook does have automatic closing doors, which could be problems for Zook down the road. But if a door is left open on a Waymo or the trunk or whatever, nobody can shut it. We also found out that the remote drivers, the safety drivers who are supposed to be in the state where Waymo operates. So if Waymo is only in California and Arizona, now they're not. Even if as they move 5 cars to any given market like mine, they have a few cars. I know it's under 10. I said 5 a few times, and somebody corrected me who does live here and said it's 8, isn't it? And it might be 8. I don't know. I just know it's under 10. And I do know one of them has a Rideshare Rodeo bumper sticker on it. But they're not allowed to operate yet. They're just here plotting stuff. But that still means they have to have a team here. Now we find out all their safety drivers are in the Philippines. And that's nothing against the Philippines. But that's worse than outsourcing your customer service to there. There is no reason at all that the safety drivers should be in the Philippines. And I think it speaks volumes to every time I've ever said, why isn't somebody taking control of that Waymo that, blocks a fire truck and won't move for an hour? Like it's always blown my mind, like just move it, dude. Get the safety operator on there. Just move it. Well, they don't. So, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll just have to see. But for right now, if Waymo's in your city operating, Atlanta, LA, Phoenix, San Francisco, I think that's it. I mean, they're in Denver, they're in Seattle, they're in Philly, but they can't take passengers. So in the cities I did name, though, they can. So you might be seeing DoorDash orders that say, go close this door. Do I still have it in here? Yeah, here it is. So $6.25 guaranteed plus $5 extra pay upon verification. So once you take a picture that you closed the door, again, makes me laugh because wouldn't this almighty technology know that you closed the door? Wouldn't it even see you coming up to it? I mean, dude, in all respect, like it should go, oh, he's here to close the door. Oh, the door has been closed. Cool. Talk about proving you're not very technology when you're only technology. But if you notice, it says for the Waymo vehicle, close a Waymo door. No pickup or delivery required. I don't know what to say, guys. It's just too much. Let me say hi to you guys, and then I want to move into this Seattle. Hey, Tremaine, hey ho. You guys, check out Hey Ho Studios if you haven't already. Tremaine makes movies. If you guys don't know that, his latest movie, I don't know what his newest thing is. And probably got a bunch of things like always, but his latest big movie, Simp. He can tell you where he wants you to watch it. I do know you can find it on YouTube. But you can I think. I mean, Rideshare, his other big movie, you can find that on his channel. And these are good. You guys need to go watch these movies. You're good guy, man. But thank you all for coming in. Toyo still here. I'm gonna have to go back and see your questions. 11:25 to close a door, which is much cheaper than a tow truck. I know. Well, Harry I don't know. That was a post from Harry at the Rideshare guy, and Harry had said that this avoids them having to use. It's right here. This avoids them. Until now, that typically meant relying on tow truck drivers through the service Honk. Honk must be an app, reportedly costing Waymo around 22 to 24 per call. But here's my thing. On top of the dots, we do know that in Phoenix, Arizona, DoorDash is using Waymo to do some food delivery. So, I mean, there's probably just some trade-off going on there with Tony. But either way, whatever he's paying the driver, he's making at least twice that just to pass it along. So, I mean, and that doesn't even involve food or a business or, having that kind of response. Just go close that door. And he's taking a 50% finder's fee. But let me get back to this chat. I want to see what else you guys are talking about over here. If you take a Waymo, please leave the doors open I know. How far back do I need to go with you guys? Jaded. I'm over 15K. I should get a moped. I don't think they had this even marked, man. I don't think they were like, it's a secret, but when somebody hits 100,000, we're gonna give them a gas guzzling, polluting machine. But we're EV friendly. Absolutely. Let's see. I'm way lost. Those dots are useless and pointless and expensive. Pay a driver. Yeah. I mean, the dots, and again, we get to the Starship robotics, the little Uber Eats, the ones that look like igloo coolers. Those are 40 grand, and Grubhubs, the ones they use on campus, those are 60 grand. The dots, the ones that look like the baby, like driver car red thing that we all know, the Flintstone car. I mean, that's going to get kids to crawl in it also, but those are 110. Waymos are north of $450,000. And they're doing $2 no tip orders? Come on, man. We're not stupid. And surprisingly, the investors aren't stupid either. I don't know where the investors get lost in this. I don't know where they think, oh, this is good. And they've only told us 6 times autonomous is next year. So I'm sure this time being the 7th, they're being honest. I know some people were held to agreements where they couldn't sell their shares even once it went public for a certain amount of years. But those are all coming to an end. Even the ones who were the littlest venture capitalists in the beginning, they're going to be able to get out here soon, if not already. So, oh God. I hate this. A hard question. So if they are losing money, why are they still using the same failed business model? I honestly, I don't know, man. I mean, they've tried everything. They've tried, we're going to get into this other space. Hey, we'll deliver like Connect. We'll do, shopping. They got into the shopping space, and that has probably been very beneficial. But nonetheless, when it all throws down, customers have left, not only because people on all levels of life are pinched in the pocketbook right now, but because you're trying to charge a customer 200% more. And I can say this, when I say that 160 to 200% more, that's based on, like, let's go back a year and a half to when it was just the 100%, which was still more, but they were working that algorithm with the customer just enough so the customer really didn't recognize it. He thought it was the service fees. She thought whatever. Whoever was ordering thought, well, this is the fees and all this. That's why it's so high. They didn't realize that the food was being marked up on top of that too. I mean, like, we found restaurants that have marked up over 100% on items. If you go in and get something for $9, it's 18 plus on the DoorDash on the menu before the fees. So customers, I mean, restaurant partners knew they were getting screwed. That's how they get to be on the platform. That's how they get their positioning and all this. There's a lot of deals that get worked out, but the customer wasn't as aware. They knew, dude, this is more. They knew this is more like 18 to 24 months ago. They knew this is more than if I go pick it up myself. Yeah, duh. You're getting something delivered. That's going to be the case. But I don't think they recognized how much more. They didn't realize that was not a fair thing. And they probably, I know many are waking up, but they probably thought a lot of it went to the driver too. They did not realize how little the drivers get paid. So a lot of that's going on. But then when you take that and you double it, now they're like, dude, it was high. Now I can't afford it. Even if they're doing pretty good in life, they're still struggling a bit right now. But people are also seem to be regathering their wits about them. Like, I'm not going to waste money on that crap anymore. I mean, I'm just not, it's too expensive. It's just too expensive. And we've always said it's a luxury service. I mean, how many of you use, these apps? How many work the apps and use them every day or in your everyday life? Like, you don't do the work yourself. You have somebody else do Instacart, order food every night, use DoorDash to go get your Mattress Firm mattress. Please. By the way, you guys know there's 17 mattress firms in Denver. And I always get asked by the audio podcast listeners, so I'll bring it to you guys too. I am at 14. I've contacted 14 and I've spoke to, if not the general manager of the store, at least a manager on duty. There's still 3 of the stores that I've not gotten to talk to yet, but not one of the ones I've spoken with, not one. Most of them don't even know about the partnership. A couple of them said, oh, there's a DoorDash sticker in our window, and didn't know about it. Now, that could be an assistant manager or something who just wasn't briefed right. But the couple who did know, and regardless, all of them had the same answer. Never, ever, ever has an order left Mattress Firm for DoorDash in Denver. So not even sheets. Sheets would be less than a food order in weight and stuff. So maybe that would have been the target, but no. Like, none of the stores have had a DoorDash order. It was pure PR. We talked about it then. So here we go. And I picked a neutral publication because this is reading a little bit heavy right now on either side, politically. But Seattle's gig worker law was supposed to boost pay. It did it first until it didn't. So it's been 2 years since Seattle's gig worker minimum wage took effect. By the way, it's called the pay up legislation. It was intended to boost labor standards for app-based drivers who deliver food for companies like DoorDash and Uber Eats. How has it worked out so far? So this is an interview, and the person, Kim Malcolm, she says, Ruby, what are gig workers saying? Did the law raise their pay? Ruby's answer: initially it did. That was the experience for many workers like Michael Lowe. He's retired, but to supplement his income, he makes food deliveries through DoorDash. He remembers the first month of the ordinance went into effect. He told me, I delivered one order on a Friday night. There was 2 deliveries from Queen Anne to Wedgwood. This is the Seattle metro area, like the whole Seattle's a big area like Denver and other metros. And the traffic was so bad. If you get stuck in traffic, you get paid well. He said those orders took an hour to deliver. They were 2 orders. Of that, he was paid $58. Now, this is with the pay up legislation. I won't go through that because I've gone through that enough times. Lowe estimated he would have been paid about $17. The ordinance isn't just about wages. It required companies to pay mileage and time spent waiting either for the food or, in this case, sitting in traffic. The law also outlined protections for a driver can be fired or, in industry lingo, deactivated. The thing is, the pay raise lasted a few months. And then what, she asked. Things slowed down. Orders weren't coming in. They still aren't coming in like they used to. One worker told me she logged in for 6 hours without receiving one offer. This is Seattle. This is what DoorDash boasts to be one of their top 5 cities. I tell you guys all the time, the volume's down. It is. Nobody can argue that. Nobody can argue the volume's not down. If they do, they're lying to you. The only reason the companies they're selling things off, they're selling their children, whatever, and they've raised the price twice as much on the customers. It's just made customers go away. But yeah, you might show a little more profit. But that's kind of one of those situations where your profits is really just taking you downhill. So customers will want the convenience, but many balked at the fees. Now, remember, they also passed along the city ordinance fee. So DoorDash, I don't know how Uber Eats handled it exactly, but because they had to line item things like we do here in Colorado, they also had the dollar amount tied to it. And that's where the problem was, because they had to line item everything. So when they said, here's all the fees, they literally, the Seattle City Council fee was $5 per order that's supposed to go to Seattle. DoorDash just took it and moved it to the breakdown for the customer. So on the customer's receipt, it says Seattle City Council fee per order, $5. They were supposed to be paying this, but all they did was just move it to the customer. And again, now they're losing customers. The pattern is consistent with a recent study by the National Bureau of Economic Research. Wages were higher in the first few months and then dropped. The study also found that months later, drivers have more unpaid idle time and drive longer distances between orders. Also, the number of drivers is under 50% of where it was 15 months ago. So some of you might say, well, that's good. The oversaturation went away. Did it? Because every driver with twice as many, I want oversaturation to go down too, but with twice as many drivers were complaining about their earnings. Then they did this. Half the drivers, same as New York City, half the drivers just boom, they're gone. And then the other half are like, this is awesome. And then as it went on a couple months, they're like, wait, this isn't awesome if there's no business. Because again, active time means nothing at all. Nothing. So, and that's what this obviously is based on, by the way. It's only when you're active on an order. So here's an example too of a customer. So a meal might be $12 to $15 in our restaurant. This is what an owner of a restaurant said. And he said, by the time a customer gets it through these apps, it becomes $40, $45. So I wouldn't buy our own food for that price. Why should we expect a customer to do that? Perfect, man. So DoorDash recently issued a report showing Seattle as the most expensive market for food deliveries, and not surprisingly shows the most decline in delivery orders. Cities like Denver and Portland saw up to 30% increases in monthly average sales. Really? Because I haven't seen that money. Compared to 5% in Seattle. So I don't know, guys. The fact that and then thank you, Sue, for sending this over too. I wanted to show you guys. So this came out for those of you that do catering. Expedite put this out. Due to the complexity of Washington app-based worker laws, Expedite has made the difficult decision to temporarily pause operations in the state. They're talking about Washington. Our final day of service will be Friday, February 13th. So 2 days ago. So if you guys are in Washington state, you no longer have Expedite. Sorry to say. This is because you pushed a horrible legislation, or maybe not you, but whoever in your state did. And I know a lot of drivers up there who were like, dude, this is going to be, look at how it's going to work. That's going to be sweet. I'm like, we'll see. And I, of course nobody knows. I had watched AB5 fail completely. And the differences were minute, really. Rideshare drivers had a little bit of a different tweak up in Seattle to it because they went under the TLC, but really, like, I just saw the same pain coming. You can't put the dollar amount in it. You just can't. So let's jump back over here to the chat for a minute. I want to see where. Wait. I don't even know where it was. So let me just I'm just going to roll through and catch up as quick as I can. Not XRP. Yeah. I mean, XRP moves so gradually. Any of the cryptos, it's all speculative. So there's nothing wrong with putting some money in it. XRP definitely might be something to put some money in. I don't like saying that, though. I don't like telling people to do that. But I mean, if you're going to play with some crypto, XRP seems to be something that has held a bit steady. Let's see. Same reason they lost 17% in November. Okay, so I'm way behind. Oh yeah, I did that. Way behind. Okay. Here we go. I have to do photo verification daily to deliver food. They should have strictly more regulations on deliver teens. Wait, what? Regulation to deliver teens or people in general. Maybe I'm still not understanding this concept. Hopefully, okay, so, I see maybe Bubba Sue's answering it here. The concept is all the background checks. Okay. Hopefully this is getting addressed. Toyo, if not, just I'm coming as I come to the bottom here and play and catch up. Just put your question again if you still have it, and I'm happy to answer it. I just fell a little bit behind there. I saw him bartend, yo. Oh my gosh. $10 to close the door. No, it was $625 plus 5 with the photo, so $11.25. $11.25. Again, guys, check out Tremaine. Check out Hey House Studios. He's got some cool stuff there, and he's doing good things. He's not a mega studio. He's just a guy who's gonna dominate one day, and so check him out. Oh, let's see. If you take a Waymo, please leave doors open. Smack that like. Appreciate it. Hell yeah, Sue. You would think it would automatically close. Yeah, I think that right there is a major. They don't want to go anywhere near that because somebody gets trapped in that door. They're done. I mean, look, they already hit a kid and had like excuses already. You know what I mean? Like you hit a kid. Yeah, but I hated this excuse so much because if you guys saw the scene, if anybody saw that scene, it was a couple weeks ago, but there was a van parked here and they used the word dart on the articles. And that pissed me off because they said a kid darted out from in front of the van and the Waymo went from, I can't remember, 20 something to 8 when it hit the kid. It was only doing 8 miles an hour. They said that's faster than any human could have reacted. Well, number one, how do you know that? Number two, it was in a school zone, so I doubt it because most of us wouldn't be driving 28 in a school zone. And I'm surprised you have your Waymos able to go more than 15 in a school zone, to be honest. I mean, that should just, again, it's like the school bus thing, I mean, I got images. We know that Waymos hate children. We know they want to kill them, and Waymo, driverless vehicles hitting children since 2026. We know what's up. But I don't know. They're arguing that the kid darted. It stopped so quickly, and they were trying to make that sound impressive. It went from 28 to 8 when it hit the kid. So luckily the kid didn't die. And I'm thinking, okay, you just proved my damn point though. That $75,000 LiDAR that I always rip on the roof was supposed to see through the damn van. So don't tell me the kid darted, because the kid was running across the field. And yes, me, you, all of us humans wouldn't have been able to see through the van. The LiDAR that is $75,000 operates at a horrible efficiency. It's around 70 to 75%, gets worse in the nighttime, has a lifespan of around 3 years. And it looks like one of those 1940s like cop sirens. It's like half the size of the damn roof of the car. It just looks stupid. But anyway, it should have seen through the van and seen the kid running and stopped. But I mean, long before it even saw the kid. It has an ability we don't, to see through things. And they're like, look, when the kid darted out in front. No, he didn't dart, because you saw him running, unless it doesn't work. And where's your safety driver? Oh, the Philippines. Which brought up, I don't know if you guys know, I won't get into that right now, but like, just so you guys know, it brought up a congressional hearing that, I mean, Waymo was in there, and that's when they had to say our drivers are in the Philippines. We know that our cars don't respect sirens. We know that they go down wrong streets all the time. We know that they can't identify school buses. We did a complete recall of all of them, did new software updates, and they still don't recognize school buses. I mean, a big yellow bus with red stop signs blinking, that you can't just put that in the code at all. If you can't put that in the code, then every one of these should be burned to the ground. Like, you shouldn't even be working on them anymore. You should be wiping the slate clean and starting over. If you can't program in there, hey, if a cop or a fire truck or a school bus or anything is doing this, just stop. And then the other thing I want to get to tonight, and I think this will lay it up pretty well so that I can do the follow up tomorrow night. And then I'll get into chat. If you guys have any chat, start putting it in there, and I'll jump back in there. But a California man, this is crazy. A California man says he learned his identity was stolen when Uber sent him tax forms from money he didn't earn. We were just talking about this. We've talked about this every year around tax season. I'm sure it does nothing but get worse with all the illegal accounts that are being sold. So exactly what we've talked about. A guy gets a tax form. You made $35,000 on Uber this year. I've never driven for Uber in my life. So now we're in a weird predicament, because the person who bought the illegal account did not clearly pay the taxes. And why would they? Why would they? They bought an illegal account. They're not going to pay the taxes. So they didn't pay it. Now it's being sent to the person. They said, hey, you earned this on this. And that person says, I have never, ever worked on any gig apps. Now, most likely that person will be able to prove they have a job. I mean, I'm sure there would be instances this isn't the case, but where they can prove, dude, I have a job. And then they can just look at the data records for that file and say, yeah, he couldn't have been driving. He does a job. He was at his job. So here's my question. Now, I've already dug in, but I'm going to leave this floating until tomorrow. I want your answers tomorrow. Same time, same place. We're going to do 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific will be the part 2 to this podcast. But I want to know what you guys think. If the illegal driver isn't paying the taxes and the person who's getting sent the bill isn't paying the taxes, who's paying the taxes? I can guarantee you one thing for sure. They are not letting it go down that nobody pays those taxes. That's a fact. And DoorDash is not paying them. So who's paying them? Let's get into that tomorrow for sure. And then the only other thing I was going to even tell you guys about, and again, this is just kind of a cliffhanger thing. If you want to go out and do a little bit of research, I want you guys to go, if you guys haven't heard of it already, I want you guys to go and look at openclaw.ai. Now, don't I'm not promoting it at all. I know there are tons of people flocking to this, and there's a thing called Clawbot even. Clawbot even makes it scarier. But if you go to openclaw.ai, you're thinking, no, it's just another AI company. They're doing some heavy stuff. And if you put Clawbot into your computer, email me first, because I have been through hundreds of videos, and I got to tell you guys that I would never do it, but I have seen some videos that are like I saw one last night about, the guy going to the store to get a Mac Mini because he wanted to do it from there, and run it that way. But then I saw some other videos of people going, don't just let this thing be freely open. And they were kind of business owners. They're like, this is how you do it. You set it up on a different account. It all sounded still too sketchy. But the guy who I did see on a video said, basically what he was doing is like, he was saying, I don't want to work anymore. Like, he was taking it to the extent. He's like, this will now do all of my work. It will make all of my decisions. He was basically trading over his rights in life to let this thing run everything. Because when you do it, it starts replying to your emails. It starts handling your scheduling. It starts doing your work. And I'm not talking about AI generated stuff. I'm talking about you put it in you and it becomes digital you. And it has the rights to make decisions on your behalf. This shit is nuts. And there's hundreds of thousands of people putting this on their stuff right now. I mean, I don't even know what to say, guys. It's like, you got to be kidding me. Let's see. How far back should I go? Okay, here we go. A Cadillac is better than a Dodge. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. To me, those dots are just Flintstone cars. So give people Cadillacs. I just think it's so hilarious that it was a Cadillac Escalade. Like, I'm impressed. If I was going to be given a car, I'd rather have the Escalade over what I thought they'd do. I thought they would have given him a Tesla. You want a Tesla? Not that there's anything wrong with Teslas, guys. Not at all. I'm just saying, I thought that's what it would have been. Like, hey, it's electric and we're saving the world. Instead, they bought him the worst gas consumption vehicle on the planet. But they're awesome. And they're definitely safe. By the way, the Cadillac Escalade is one of the safest vehicles to be in an accident, just FYI. So investors are already worried about Waymo taking over the robotaxi world and Uber not being able to compete. Of course they are. Dude, Waymo, Sean, you know as well as I do, Waymo's not near done facing their issues. Not at all. Waymo's issues are just going to grow even as they have like 5 or 8 here in Denver. Don't have an exact number. Whatever they have in Philly, whatever they have in Seattle that can't operate yet, that are just mapping, have a safety driver in them and whatnot. Things are going to happen there. Once they release those, things will happen. But we know when they were in, just remember Waymo a little bit, you guys. Remember that Waymo has never, in California and Arizona, where they've been operating for years. These are the only states they've been operating in for years. It's new that they're starting to get out of those cities a little bit, but it's not even really that big. But in those 2 states, Arizona and California, and most states, driverless vehicles cannot be ticketed. Do you guys know that? Do you know that they cannot have a ticket if they don't have a driver? There are people working on these laws to say that the safety driver needs to be responsible. But as we just learned about Waymo, the safety drivers are in the Philippines. Anyway, they can't be ticketed. In Arizona alone, I did a major, sometimes I just wish I had some of these at the ready, because it's one of the, I don't always recommend to go watch a video I've made or something specifically, but this is one everybody should see, was when I broke down the Waymo issue. I know I did it with Levi Spires on The Conversation. If you go into my lives, There's a playlist and it says the conversation. There's only like 9 episodes of the conversation, but there's one with Levi Spires where we talked about autonomous, and I break down the Arizona situation. There were 212 incidents in a 2-year period, accidents that involved Waymos. Of those, 70 something, I don't want to misquote, but 70 something for sure, it was in the 70s, were at fault and listed at fault by the officer who was writing the ticket, or who was writing up the report. Now, they can't ticket the cars. So what did they do? They had to go through and redact like 70% of the officer's reports, because they don't want people looking into this and seeing you can't get a ticket. But people did look into it, and they're like, why is 70% of this redacted? Now, California, different scenario a little bit, even kind of worse in my book, though. The DMV has a solid take on every one of us. They have a profile. They have a breakdown. They know what's going on with us. Better than Checker. But they needed the data in California for Waymos. Waymo waited till the last minute, as they do. They made it a Supreme Court case, and they challenged that because of proprietary things in their vehicles, they should not have to have their vehicles listed in the DMV records. All of us, maybe not, but all of us should be saying, well, they lost that case, right? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. No, they won. They won. And the California DMV can't list them. But they list everything we do. Everything. So they bought their way out of that. There's an issue when everything that a company does has to involve suitcases of money. Like, it's like, Waymo, what do we do now? Like, that's how I would guess they answer the phone. Waymo, what legal department can I refer you to? I'm stuck in a car. But so here's my thing. If you're still with us here over on X, here's my thing. So once humanoid robots are prevalent, DoorDash driving will fall off. That's my whole thing. When we get 15 years down the road or something, we're going to have other issues. This perplexity comet thing. This could be, DoorDash is already investing into it, and which would end their app. It would put it into the personal assistant. One of the things about Perplexity is that it is known as the tightest security there is. So that's why venture capitalists are all behind this, because there won't be accounts to sell. This will be an AI assist. So let's see. Uber is putting too much into robotaxis. Investors, yeah, that's what look, guys. If you're not familiar, the venture capitalists that got into Uber in 2009, they knew they were in for the long ride, because they knew they had to go till public before they could pull out this money. But they saw something in Travis Kalanick when he was let go in 2017, and Derek Khosrowshahi was brought in March of 2017. The company definitely took some turns and definitely started doing some other weird stuff. And then 2019, 2020, 2019, I think the company went public, and even people had their buyouts and whatnot. But every year they've been lied to by Derek Khosrowshahi about autonomous. So like in 2018, it was 2020. In 2020, and he used to say all our rides will be driverless. In 2020, before the pandemic though, so it was like January of 2020 or February, he said by 2021. In 2021, he didn't say anything. In 2022, he said by 2024, we'll be all autonomous. This year, he came out. I don't know I can't think of what he said last year. This year, he came out and said that by 2040, we should have 40% of the US fleet be autonomous. So we're getting closer to the truth. The truth is they don't know, because I think what you guys hear these prices on the cars and you're like, well, that's all there it is. They just got to get the prices down. They got to make them more safe. No, they have to build infrastructure around the country. They have to start by doing lanes that are dedicated on the highway to robotaxis. They have to do charging stations. They have to do this. They have to pay Department of Transportation, federal, state. They have to pay into highways. You guys have no idea. Even Google money might not be able to take on this one. I mean, I'm just saying that we're so far off. We've been lied to, just like a lot of the littler things we're lied to by these apps. The investors are lied to as well. The customers are treated like crap. The company doesn't even care about them. Hell, they've removed the customer service on almost all the apps we use. You're lucky to make the AI work in any way that helps you. But let's see. The concept of the background checks by these gig apps, yeah, it is a complete joke. HIckenlooper's a sellout. Yeah, he really is, man. Tremaine already shouted you out. Let's see. Hey, Carnifage, what's up, man? I've even seen a Hyundai test vehicle. What is that? Oh, you mean like an autonomous? Yeah, in Carnifage, you're in Vegas, dude. Vegas has a thing where it's like a video game. People can rent cars like by the hour. Like, remember the old, what was it, Zip car or whatever, where you could rent a car by the hour, just like almost like a scooter, like one of those like just whatever, limes or whatever. But you could rent a car. Well, of course, yeah, Zip. Okay. So, but now this was different. This was, you could rent it. The car would come to wherever you are. And then when you're done, you just left it wherever and it came back. And here's how. It wasn't autonomous. It was a person in a Las Vegas office sitting in with a steering wheel, like a video game. And they would drive the car back or drive it to you and drive it back and then monitor you while you had it. I don't know if that company's still around. I need to look into that. Leave the doors open. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You would think it would automatically close. No. Let's see. Had the gig companies approached fairness in driver pay per ask, overbearing politicians? Yeah, I mean, I agree, man. I never wanted legislation. I'm just, for those of you that don't know, like this is a good time to mention this a little bit, that if you don't know, look, what we did in Colorado and what can be done elsewhere is about transparency. Don't bring the dollars into it. Just make them be transparent, make them remove the metrics so that you can take, I want that. Yeah. Well, I mean, some apps are already like that and they don't hold it against you if you don't take it. No problem. If you're going to do it that way, I mean, that's pretty much the best we can ask, because we are a free market. They could make every offer 1 penny. If they can find drivers to do it, great. Just don't have penalties. Don't have gamification. Don't have tiers. Don't have acceptance rates. And all of these are illegal if you're an independent contractor in all 50 states. And that's what the legislation's going against now. They had a lot of years to fix this. So exactly like you're saying, it sucks that they didn't work with the legislators when they could have. Now it's too late. I mean, they still can, but it's not going to be, it's not the old days where they're like, we promise that their word is shit. And the lawmakers know it. I talk to a lot of these lawmakers and they know it. They know it. They used to at least have the faith that maybe not, but the companies and politicians combined to create an unnecessary, idiotic scenario. The companies need to cut their corporate head count. And they are, man, though. I mean, they are. That's the other thing. They are, and they're still moving it. Look, if you want my opinion, what I think is happening with the giant gig apps, at least there's some good. The good ones are the small ones, right? If at least your best opportunities are going to be on the small ones, in my opinion. But with these big ones, in my opinion, I think the AI thing is a big show. The customer service always sucked, but at least you could get to a person. You can't anymore for the most part on most apps. It's all AI. I think the algorithm is learning and building, and they're letting it get out of hand. I think part of it's intentional because they don't want to ever have to explain themselves. They want to be able to say, well, this self-learning platform that we have You'd have to ask the algorithm. I don't know. Like I honestly, like, I think it sounds stupid, but if you've ever watched a congressional hearing where somebody's like, I don't know at this time, or, I have no response. And they do that over and over and over. And you've watched a little bit of a Senate hearing, hoping that you're going to hear something about something. And everybody does that the whole time, wastes hours. That's how I see this going. You'd have to ask the algorithm, but that therein is part of the problem, and part of the pressure for the legislation this year is that the RICO case is really amping up, because the lawmakers have had it. Well, they've had it, dude. And the RICO case allows the FBI to come in and seize all of the hardware, not come in and get a tour of the algorithm, but it allows them to seize all of the hardware and dissect it themselves. And even though that kind of stuff takes a long time, there's just as powerful AI when you have the right time and you have the real equipment to dig in and find out what's been going on. So that RICO case should be scaring the hell out of all these companies. Let's see, what else do we got here? My thing is a video photo. Okay, yeah. I mean, the photo verifications. I don't know if you guys remember, Toyo. I don't know if you ever saw, if you search in YouTube, and I want to give you, Toyo, I want to specifically give you this task. Search Rideshare Rodeo in YouTube, Incognia. So all spaces, Rideshare space, Rodeo space, Incognia, INCOGNIA. And you will see an hour interview that I did with the CEO and founder. They do all of the security for all of the giant apps now. I challenge you to watch that live, and I think you'll learn a lot about specifically photo verification and how scumbag it really is. Like how people, you're going to be blown away with what others are doing, while you're like going, I'm happy to do these since this is what'll keep it real. Go watch what I just told you. And in fact, like, if anybody wants to drop that link, go ahead. That's if any of you have never seen that, I would suggest you watch that. That was a interview where he laid out a lot of real that you guys might not know. And this is the CEO and founder. And again, he has taken on Uber, DoorDash. These are his clients now, but they're not even in his top 50 biggest clients. Let me put it this way. He's in oh my gosh, what is it now? I don't want to get this wrong. He's in over 600 million devices, phones in the world. So anybody that has a gig app or anything like that, you have Incognia for life in your phone, unless you do a factory reset. Go watch it. He's a good guy too. And he told these companies how to clean up their shit and how to fix. He laid out in that interview with me very simply an easy fix. And you all will see immediately why. You'll know why DoorDash and others didn't do that fix. See through a van? I don't believe it. Well, not a human, but the LiDAR does. I mean, so Meridian, the LiDAR is like a sonar. Same thing, man. It's just above ground sonar. It is. It's like X-ray vision. That is what the LiDAR does. I mean, that's all it does, really. It can detect other things too, like our insight to even the human eye, but like it goes through things. LiDAR is basically a big gray machine. It's X-ray. Yeah, and it's ugly too, man. I was thinking, like, I don't want to give them ideas because the product doesn't work, but they should put a top hat on it. Make it look like the Monopoly Man or something. I appreciate that. Better to be safe with the weight and price tag. Wait, what? I mean, I live in Colorado, so I hear you, Ryan. I hear you. I do. I mean, I hear you. There's a lot of advantages to Tesla, absolutely. Especially if they would do the home install for the charger. Yeah, absolutely. Unless you live in California, because then you'll be told when you're told not to run your air conditioners, you'll definitely be told not to run your EV chargers. Um, but yeah, I mean, if they're gonna do all that, I'm still more about the hybrids that I don't know if it's 220 or 110 volts for those of you that know what I'm talking about. Like the basics of that would be 220 is like laundry machines and stuff, and 110 is just your average plug in your house. But that they were doing some hybrids that ran, I believe, on like 220, and that 220 you could plug, and it was going to give you your first 50 miles that you'd plug it in the garage, and the first 50 miles you drove the next day would just run on that charge, and it was a drip charge, so it really didn't charge too much to the electricity. And then it mixed in the hybrid part, so that was cool. I can't remember, there was a few of those that made that way. There's a big enough sample of Waymo's operating to make safe. Yeah, exactly. They need to do a mileage tax. Yeah, well, they also need to work, man. What's up, Richard, by the way? Good to see you, man. I mean, to me, it's that. But I mean, why are they operating around school buses when we know that they can't recognize a school bus? That puts our children in danger. I mean, these aren't little things. Waymo hit a kid, and they were describing their miles per hour. Like, but we did hit. Yes, we hit the kid, but if the car was able to go from 28 to 8, a human couldn't have done that. Well, a human doesn't have a LiDAR, and you weren't supposed to be going over 15. It was a school zone, you dumbass. Excuse my language there. Tesla. I mean, I know, Levi's been on a couple times with me. Levi, a lot of these people who have Teslas and stuff, they say their hope is to get, 400,000 or 500,000 miles out of them. That's a perk for sure. Like that's one perk. But again, I live in Colorado, so I'd rather have I go up into the mountains a lot. I do backcountry. I'd rather have that Escalade, just saying. Colorado legislator seems to have at least some understanding of the internet. Yeah. I mean, is it perfect? No, we're still, and we're always working on it, but we're way beyond where some of the lawmakers I talk to in some states are literally still at the point where, you're the first person to talk to me about this transparency thing. Weird. There were just some union lobbyists in here. No shit. Really? You just have union lobbyists in your office, huh? Shocker. Like, so I mean, it's really about getting to them and informing them. A lot of times they just don't know, and again, don't blame every lawmaker either, because remember, what lawmakers walk onto the Senate floor or the House floor, and their assistants are handing them what the day looks like. Like, here's the 10 files for today. Sometimes they're like skimming those. They're relying on the input from their assistants to say, yeah, your constituents 60 to 40 want this to pass. They 70 to 30 do not want this to pass. And then they give them briefings on it, but they don't know the ins and outs. So it takes something like this to really get into it. And you got to keep knocking on their doors and saying, listen, here's what you need to know. And again, shit, do I have it in front of me? Guys, I'm going to post this. Please, 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 guys, we're almost to 300. And it does matter. If we get to 5, even that's going to be huge for me, because we've started round 2 and 1 back up, or I'm about to kind of release some things on it. Like I said, I fell a little bit behind because of last week, but I wanted to share with you this. And you guys, all I ask is that you go read it. It takes literally, I'm not kidding, it takes under 2 minutes. I don't care who you are. This takes under 2 minutes to read. I just posted it. Here, let me pin it. It takes under 2 minutes to read. And if you agree with it, add your name and your email. it says at the bottom, like, do you want to donate? Don't donate. You don't have to donate. If you just scroll down a little farther, it says not now or skip. It has a couple of those type flow screens after the fact. All it really needs is the first thing it puts up. What state are you in? Your name and your email. And that's it. And it doesn't share it. I don't even see it. However, it does. It's petition.org or it's petition. Or change.org. And they do encrypt all that, but all that is available in database when we need it for each state or for pushing out and showing legislators. All I want you to do is go read it. If you agree with this, I want you to add your name to it. That's all I'm asking. If you don't add it to it. Don't. But if you do, please add your name. It does a lot of help for us. So let me see. All the AV are electric vehicles and don't pay. Yeah. Can you imagine if the AVs were gas? I'm guessing this is the Incognia. You guys, if this is the Incognia link, I'm guessing, check it out. I think everybody needs to see that. Let me see. I just looked up Incognia with solid background checks and contracting principles. Why need to spend money on that third party? You don't need to spend any money on Incognia. The companies are working with Incognia because they can't figure out the security for themselves. Like all of DoorDash security is handled by Incognia now. When I did that interview, that was right. I mean, literally, we were within a 2-month thing of that deal happening. They were just starting to work with a couple of the giants. But like he mentioned on that, those companies like DoorDash and stuff, oddly, they're not even in his top 50 accounts. Like he was telling us how like Incognia stuff, and he explains it in the video, and he explains it much better than I can. But he was saying, like, let me give you an example of a real fraud, and he calls them fraudsters throughout. But he was like, there were some fraudsters who tried to take down or tried to get $90 million out of Brazil's biggest bank. And he said it was like within the seconds of them getting away with it, Incognia caught him. So it's not something we as drivers need to use. It's something that these companies need to use because these companies suck at what they do. Their security and fraud team is a joke. Look at what Uber did. The head of global security and preventative safety globally for Uber came out and said that he's been lying about sexual assaults for the past several years. That's the guy in charge over at Uber. So yeah, there is the need for a third party because they don't mind having illegal parties on the app. They don't care. Who do you think takes those $2 no tip orders? You're not. I'm not. Who's doing them? So let's see. Florida government allows lots of businesses to act on. Well, I mean, I would say that a lot of states do. I mean, like, and again, I can't speak to. I mean, I do pay attention, but I can't speak fully on Florida. But like, I can tell you that even some of the good people in government can't get everything done. I can't remember how many years ago it was. It was pre-pandemic. But when I actually learned, I always knew their value was little. But when I actually knew, those BBB stickers that we used to see all over brick and mortar businesses when they existed before everything was digital. Better Business Bureau, BBB. And we would think, oh, cool, you're part of the better. That means nothing. That means nothing. Like the Better Business Bureau certifies A grades to companies that are complete scums. So I don't even know. I mean, like to me, that's a government program that could I think it is needed, but I think it's one of those ones that needs to be gutted, flushed, and then trimmed down about to a third of its size, and have people in there who actually care about busting down on companies who are doing things wrong. Because it's this kind of crap that you're talking about, where a lot of businesses get away with unethical crap. Yeah, exactly. So why not stop registering them as BBB? Start giving them a C or a D grade. Let other people know. Investors, they probably don't pay too much attention to the Better Business Bureau anymore, because just like me, everybody's found out it's just a scam. It's not very real. That's what I'm saying. Wait. That's what I'm saying. Company spend. So they do backgrounds and not just facial. Well, they don't even do the backgrounds. They do a thing that's, if you go through their website, if you're on Incognia's website, you'll see that they do a thing that's like layers. I think to all of us, the best way to hear it is from the horse's mouth. Like I said, if you haven't seen it, Ryan, you too, I would tell you to go watch that. Like, I mean, the first like 10 minutes, we're getting to know each other a little bit, but then then we really start getting into some of my questions, and he's pinging away at answers. And I don't always get that kind of like, like I'm here, let's give dead honest feedback. And he was just point blank, like laying it out. So I went into my more difficult question. He was answering everything, man. He answered everything for us. It was pretty awesome. And it's things like that that help us get along here. I mean, like, that help us move along and understand what's going on. And he was very careful not to say which of the companies, but when I was like DoorDash, Uber, Grubhub, and he was like, I can't tell you any specifics. And I was like, well, any, like those. He's like, though, at least some of those are my clients. Like, they all are, but it's all company. Okay, so again, I refer you to the video, because all company expenses go to the customers and diminished driver pay. Yeah, but at the same time, he had a solution in that video. I'm not even going to say it, and I'm not trying to. It's not a clickbait or trying to get you over there. It's I don't want to misword it, man. He says it much more clear than I do. Okay. But I mean, everything he did, because that was a while ago. That video had a lot of views too. I was very happy that we had him on, that he agreed to come on. BBB. Yeah, exactly. Think of how many separate companies the gig business pay to perform often unnecessary mundane app functions. You mean like shutting doors to Oh, you're talking about more on the programming side. As soon as you put that and I was reading it for the first time, I was thinking, you mean like closing Waymo doors for 1125? See if he can sell me like he sells these CEOs. Yeah, I mean, like, again, we're all skeptical on all companies, but I think that you guys will. Look at, I don't, anybody that's seen it can tell you he was more than genuine. He was definitely factual. He came prepared, and he answered all my questions. He did not beat around the bush at all, which I've had a little bit of that before. I know how to play that game. If somebody does it, I move into my midsection questions instead of the really harder ones. And then I can keep taking it down. And as soon as they get one of those, I come back up a little until I can find that place that I can be and get answers. I was able to go to the highest questions and just keep him on that level. He just kept pumping out answers. Drivers third, profits first. Are the drivers even third? I would think like drivers 45th, profits first. And the list probably ends at 8, but still 45th. Philippine teleservices definitely counts. Okay. You guys, with that is part 1. Part 2 will be tomorrow night. This is how far behind I fell getting into the TikTok stuff. I mean, the TikTok stuff, you guys, was brutal. You know, I'll just put the one up for those that didn't, in case you missed it. Let me just put this up real quick, but I'm really not going to get into it until I release the full piece. Look, it was a lot of stuff like this. These people are selling real accounts. They're doing it on TikTok. The lives last 3 to 4 hours. Some of these people sell upward of 1,000+ accounts per live. There's multiple people doing it. And then they do things like this. They list the cities where you can, like, shipped. They'll tell you which ones they have available. Colorado, Denver, Michigan, Detroit. Like that means that this is what they have that night to sell. It's nuts. And that's why I was going down that road. But with that said, you guys, that's this is the thing I was telling you guys about, by the way. openclaw.ai. Go check it out. Clears your inbox, sends emails, manages your calendar, checks you in for flights, all from WhatsApp, Telegram, and any chat app you already use. It does so much more than that, though. That is a misleading thing. That makes it sound like it might be kind of safe. And who knows, maybe it is. But what I've seen on some videos, and some of these people who really know it are like, dude, I can't believe people are doing this. But with that said, thank you, guys. That's a wrap for tonight. That's part 1 of 2. Part 2 still has a ton left to go, and then we'll be caught up. Until next time, be safe, be a hustler, be good to each other, be smart, and be safe out there. And we'll see you back here tomorrow night, I hope. And we'll go from there. Peace, y'all.